we begin tonight by talking about mansplaining. What is it? Who wants to define it as we are four men mansplaining to the audience right now? Blake, explain what is mansplaining and why we're supposed to care about this.
All right. Hey, Charlie. Well, obviously, the reason we're talking about it is it's now been 2 days since the presidential debate, or the vice presidential debate, J.D. Vance versus Tim Walz. I think the general consensus is our boy J.D. crushed it. He won pretty big. We talked about that on Tuesday night, of course. But the follow-up that we're getting, the sort of cope from the left about why it was not a disaster, actually Vance lost, is they're saying that JD mansplained too much. He was too much of a mansplainer. That's not okay. All the women watching are going to be turned off, and they're going to go rush to vote for the Tim Walz ticket. You can find this in a few spots. I think probably the most direct one was Nicole Wallace at MSNBC claims that Vance was mansplaining when he did that bit where he was explaining how you can download a phone app and use the app to just illegally enter America on parole and go to Springfield or Charleroi, Pennsylvania, or wherever you want, because that's how you can just legally get into America. As long as you have basically nothing to offer, then we're happy to let you in. But that was mansplaining. So mansplaining, of course, bigger picture is, as the name implies, is the idea that men sort of in a patronizing way or an irritating way will explain things to women that women don't need explained to them, or that women even know better than men already. It's the sort of thing you see a lot of unhappy women on the internet complain about a lot.
Like, for those of our audience watching on the stream, this is the embodiment of mansplaining as pictured by James Lindsay, the most famous mansplainer of them all. But continue.
Well, so yeah, and so it's just oh man, I'm not gonna get that shot out of my mind. Yeah, but so it's very funny. If you've been online, you've been hearing people complain about this for years on end. I think I remember running into it when I was in college even. So that was 15 years ago. I'm getting old. I'm gonna die, and you see it more and more. And as Charlie actually had a very good tweet about it just earlier this week, where he points out that, like, yeah, I guess in theory there can be a guy who tediously over-explains things, but the real truth is like, for a lot of people, it's like, this is what you tweeted, Charlie. Complaints about mansplaining are just cope that low IQ, insecure, medicated, this is a very important part, medicated liberal women use to shut men up. Prove me wrong. And no one could prove you wrong because you probably didn't even read the replies.
Well, let's play the tape in question, right? Let's play this. Play cut 112.
Because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women in positions of authority that should command respect just by virtue of that dynamic will see themselves in some dude that disrespected them and talked over. I mean, there was a moment like that with the vice presidential in the Harris-Pence debate.
What's really weird is now, I have to say, just, kind of a meta, before I get into the direct response, sort of from a meta perspective, this really is the first time where 2 debates in a row, now one presidential, one vice presidential, we've had 1 man versus 3 women. So, of course, you had President Trump, Kamala Harris, Lindsey Davis, and Davy Muir. And this time around, you've got the 2 female moderators, Tammy Walz and J.D. Vance. So basically, this has become, like most of wokeism, I kind of feel like this mansplaining gripe is really just a cope. So it's a cope that when you know you're wrong, when you know that you've been proven wrong and you realize that you don't actually have any facts of the situation and you don't have the ability to respond on like a factual or legitimate basis, what you do then is exactly what this moderator did in the instance where not only does she like keep talking over JD while he's trying to explain his point, which again, by the way, in a political debate, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to explain what your positions are and the role of like if you're if journalism was real or journalists were real journalists, that you'd be attempting to tease the true information out of the candidates. Whereas what she does is she doesn't like his stance, so she talks over him. Then he doesn't stop talking, which then they claim is mansplaining. And because he's trying to make his point and explain what he means, she doesn't like that. So she actually turns off his microphone, which is just, I gotta say, like that's sort of like the ultimate girl bossing move. And you notice, by the way, that throughout the rest of the debate, they didn't really do that afterwards. So I wonder if she got pulled aside in the break or something like that, because that was just, I think she lost a lot of credibility in that moment.
Let's play the clip in question here. Let's play 96. Let's play cut 96.
Nora,
but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to
we're
fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator. We have so
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. It's like if America was a giant middle school.
So, by the way, and I'll ask everyone here. Or no, Andrew, go ahead.
Or Jack, go first.
Yeah, my take on this is pretty simple, and I think this is all toxic femininity. I think that this is wine mom culture gone wrong, gone awry, and that it's JD was beating up on them so badly that Nicole Wallace had a freak out that night, thinking that all hope was lost, and she was trying to spin and paddle her legs under the water to try and right the ship. There's no writing what happened last night. I mean, there was even a Washington Post published this where, a bunch of undecided voters, I mean, JD Vance took this thing and ran away with it last night, and was one of the most lopsided victories in presidential or vice presidential history. And everybody on the left knows it. And I think this is a female cope that needs to be called out, because it's actually, as one of our people said, Charlie, that we were on a chat together, women actually women-splain over men far more often and far more aggressively. And so, yeah, he was a total gentleman, but like, there's a bunch of hypocrisy in this discussion. And the fact that this word mansplaining popped back on the internet this week because of Nicole Wallace is a really disgusting fact of modern life.